Let us welcome Swamini Svatmavidyananda.
ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्मविद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च। The two choices, Śreyas and Preyas. Of these two choices, Preyas, as we have seen, is extremely in the face, very, very obvious. Because the choice called Preyas is because of many reasons. First, the choice called Preyas is something that is objectifiable in the form of tangible desires. Desires such as ambitions, needing to accomplish something or the other, needing to gain something, needing to protect something that has already been gained, needing to lose something that has been gained but one no longer wants. That's why somebody very brilliant came up with a concept of garage sales because all the things in the garage sale, is something that was dear to you at some point, but you cannot stand the sight of it, and you want to make a little bit of money so that your junk is somebody else's treasure. This is how it goes. And so, therefore, the prayas is very obvious. And it's also the other reason why it is obvious, it's an obvious choice, is because everybody you look around is into prayas, 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 prayas. In fact, if you choose prayers, all we have to say, if we choose prayers, after knowing some of this, then all we have to say is pray for us. That is what prayers is, essentially speaking. Because this is a choice that is coming from a um, a sense of approval seeking, the cause of which is a deep insecurity centered on the I. And this insecurity centered on the I being universal, you look to the left, you look to the right, you look everywhere. You look in any country, you look in any loka. Everybody is following what? Prayers alone. And there is a strange safety in majority, in following the majority, even if the majority is particularly wrong. Doesn't matter. We sink together. If we can't swim together, let us sink together. Misery loves company. And if the neighbors are following pursuing the finite, why should I be left behind? This is what the whole thing is, keeping up with the Joneses. This is another reason why prayers is an obvious choice. And the third reason why prayas is an obvious choice is because the Shreyas being centered on you, then if it is centered on you and you are not an object, you cannot be objectified, you are the subject. So it is not an obvious choice, even though that is what one wants. One wants the infinite, one wants to be the whole, and all the desires, all accomplishments, all ambitions, all desires to gain something called yoga. Another technical meaning of the word yoga in Sanskrit is to gain something that is not gained, and to protect something that is gained, kshema. That is also, all this is obvious. But what is not obvious is the root cause of this fear: insecurity, approval seeking, and sorrow, dejection, self loath, self judgment, self critique, self criticism. all this is not obvious. And so therefore therefore Shreyas as a possibility does not shine, and it needs, this is where we left the last class, it needs a lot of grace. It needs, and it needs help. The pursuit of Shreyas needs help. One needs help to follow this Shreyas, because otherwise it is not possible. And the final reason why Preyas becomes the obvious choice, Preyas means the pursuit of worldly ends, becomes the obvious choice, is because it is the default choice. Because if you don't actively choose knowing the self that is already glorious, that is already free, that is already limitless, one will be constantly searching for ways to get rid of the limitations that don't really exist. Guilt, hurt, pain, sorrow, fear, etc., they have a certain existence, but they are all dependent on the I. Just like the shadow is dependent upon the light for its existence. The shadow cannot go rogue and have a mind of its own. It is there, yes, you can discern it, but it is not as real as you. This is exactly how the whole gamut of limitations and finitude and feelings of unworthiness, etc., which make up the universal human predicament, this is how they have to be looked at. And therefore, since we cannot intuit Shreyas, since it is not an object, yet another object in the universe located in time and place, so that it cannot be pursued as an object, it cannot be intuited, it cannot be inferred, it cannot be pursued with the mind or with the sense organs or with the organs of action. And it cannot be, it cannot be gone after, it cannot be chased, it cannot be caught. Why? Because it is you. It is the content of the catcher, it is the nature of the one who infers, it is the nature of the seer, the hearer, the thinker. And so all the means of knowledge that we have at hand are useless when it comes to knowing the self. Enter Vedanta. Vedanta is not one more thing to pursue. This is where many mistakes are made. When people think and when people are convinced, I don't have time for self-knowledge because I am very busy raising a family, I am very busy making some good strides and progress in my job, I am extremely busy doing this, that or the other. This is, this is a very strange excuse, because when we say we are too busy to pursue the knowledge of the I, that means we have made the mistake of making Śreyas and Preyas on an equal par. And as I hinted in the morning, Preyas is included in Śreyas, but not the other way round. So therefore, we need a special means of knowledge, not to tell us who we are or what our nature is, but to remove the resistance, the self-ignorance, and the wrong notions surrounding the I that have somehow stuck to the I, based on wrong identification with the body, with the mind, with the senses, etc. And so because of these wrong identifications, one has come to the conclusion, to the wrong conclusion, I am as good as this body, I am as good as this mind, I am as good as my prana, I am as good as what I have in life. I'm as good as the color of the hair. And that is how people say, I am blonde, means I'm a bunch of yellow hair. This is what one is saying. And then very sad if you are bald, because then you're saying if you say I am bald, I'm a bunch of non-existent hair. This is our self-definition. And so this is what has to be corrected. And that's why we have the Upanishad. Shad, the word shad is the root verb which has three meanings: to destroy. Many things we destroy, but they come back. I am back. So will the same thing happen with the sorrow? Will the same thing happen with the fear? Because we are used to destroying sorrow. We can go to see a movie, and in fact Netflix and all these movie streaming companies are making lot of business, because they are during this pandemic, because people have nothing else to do, they are not allowed to go to the movies, so you just keep on streaming things at home. And so this is I am this pain centered on the eye, I know how to get rid of it. Just binge watch something, and then after that, I'm happy. For how long? For a little while, for a couple of hours, and then that sickening feeling, all too familiar feeling of not standing myself, of this sinking feeling, returns. So the first meaning of the word shad is destroy, to destroy, and the second meaning of the word shad is to destroy without a trace, meaning it will not come back. Unmulayati, it uproots along with the root the cause of sorrow, and the cause of sorrow is not knowing my glory. That's half the cause of sorrow. The other half of cause of sorrow is therefore not knowing my glory, therefore mistaking myself to be finite, to be as good as the body, to be as good as the sum total of my possessions, my relationships, my non-possessions, my bank account, and my house, my dog, my cat. This is what happens. And so therefore so Shreyas, this knowledge of the whole, that exalted knowledge that frees from this kind of an identification, by uprooting wrong notions of the self, is the second meaning of the word shad. And the third meaning is that it takes you, gamayati, it leads you to what? Brahman. Brahma gamayati, it leads you to Brahman. And why does it lead you to Brahman? And you mean you were away from Brahman? Not really. Not really. It's like a child that thinks it is lost if it cannot see the mother or the father for 2 seconds. It thinks it is lost. And then some good Samaritan says, "Oh, your mummy is right here," leads the child by the hand. The mummy was there all the time. The child was as though lost. Here too the jiva is as though lost in the world of prayers, which includes wrong identification. And so the Brahma Gamanam, the leading back to Brahman, is like making a U-turn, pun intended, because you are the one that is turning. So it is like making a U-turn to come back to yourself. And so the root verb shad is made here into a noun, an agent noun. An agent noun, like like hearer, seer. But here there is no shad plus er, because it's a silent er. We have that same thing even in English. We have a silent agent noun. So the one who sees, seer, right? The one who hears, hearer. The one who teaches, teacher. The one who thinks, thinker. And then the one who cooks, you can't say cooker unless you're referring to the vessel in which the food is made. The one who cooks, cook. And the ER here is silent, just like Shad. Shad here has the agent noun using a prefix called in Sanskrit called quip. And this quip equips the word. That's how you learn Sanskrit. This quip suffix equips the word to be an agent of the remover of sorrow, to be an agent that dismisses all pain by taking you back to the truth of yourself. And then we have two prefixes, upa and ni. Upa means near, and it's a very relative term. Near what? And near here means that which is the nearest to you, and which is yourself alone. That is what is revealed, unfolded. The truth of the self is unfolded. And then what? Upa, and ni means nishchayena, definitely. If you expose yourself to the teaching of the Upanishad, you will get this knowledge, because knowledge is as good as the object. Now suppose if I hold, my glasses in my hand and say, please look at this wonderful Indian mango. Then you will be little confused. You will see the faces of other people on Zoom to wonder, are they also looking confused? And you will think, okay, the first two classes she made sense, now something is happening to her. We don't know what it is. Did she say mango? Yes, it looked like she said mango, but it is not mango, it's a pair of glasses. The eyes do not lie. The knowledge is as good as the object. You may want to give the teacher some respect and benefit of doubt, and you may want to see the mango. But no matter how hard you try, the mango is not seen precisely because the mango ain't there. And you cannot see what is not there. The knowledge is as good as the object. Vastu tantram jnanam. Your feelings, your desires, and you have nothing to do with it here. The eyes are there, they are open, and what you need to see is in front of you. Sight will take place. That is how we end up sometimes seeing unpleasant things like accidents, etc. Nobody wants to witness an accident, but it happens. The eyes are open, you happen to be there. And very soon somebody is coming to take down, your witness account. Which car was at fault, which person was at fault. You saw the whole thing unfold. You didn't want to see it, but you saw the person getting injured. You saw the ambulance pull up. You saw everything. And similarly, you can't always see, there is no will involved in knowledge. The will doesn't operate. Just like because you want something to be a mango, it is not a mango, it cannot become a mango. It is as true as the object. And so too, the Upanishad tells or shares this truth. It is a fact that it shares that which is to be seen. And therefore, it is not based on belief. It's like an equation. When Einstein says E is equal to mc squared, the fourth grader cannot say, oh teacher, I believe you, I'm sure you are right. You have to see it. You have to work it out. You have to understand it cognitively. Similarly, you are Brahman. Brahman is Bhagavan. Brahman is the whole. And here, this you is 6 foot so many inches tall, and then in a man's body or a woman's body with finite resources, finite bank account, finite number of hair, finite number of everything. And so, how can it be the same? You cannot say, I believe you. This is something to be understood. And that's why the Upanishad is always, 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 always in the form of a dialogue between the teacher and the student. Sometimes, like in the Kathopanishad, there is one teacher and one student Who is the teacher? As we have seen, Lord Yama is the teacher, and who is the student? Nachiketa is the student. And in certain other Upanishads, we don't know the names of the teachers or the students, like the Taittiriya Upanishad, but they are there. They are there because some student asks a question. And that's how we know that the student is asking the question, so it is a dialogue. It is in the form of a dialogue because, at the beginning when one hears this, even though there is a longing to be free of a seeking person, a wanting person, a person addicted to prayers, there, even though this longing is there, along with this longing to be free are a lot of doubts. Why can't I have a little bit of prayers and a little bit of prayers? See, everybody is happy. No, because those are, divergent pursuits. We'll see this. We'll see this in the verses of the Kathopanishad. You can't have both. You have to choose one. And if you choose Śreyas, here's a big hint. Prayas comes along for free. Like those, what is that? Like those boxes these days. You buy a box of cereal and then it says on the box, 35% free. I never understood. First of all, how do they calculate the percentage? And then, what do you mean by it is free? Somehow or the other you are paying for it, okay? You may not think you are, but you are paying for it. So, here we have, so here we have a bonus. You choose Śreyas. Everything in the realm of prayers comes along for free because Śreyas is big. As big as Brahman. Nay, it is Brahman, it is limitless, it is you, it is free, it is whole. It includes the things in the Jagat. It transcends them also. Jagat means universe, okay? Yeah, multiverse. It includes and it transcends them also. It includes you, it includes me, it includes all the things that you want, it includes your longings, it includes your sense of belonging, it includes everything. Choose Śreyas. You are blessed because Preyas comes along. Like if you choose the person, their shadow comes along for free. Wherever they go, the shadow comes along, follows them. But if you choose the shadow, oh, big mistake. Only that little finite piece of what you have chosen, called Preyas, only that comes. Śreyas does not come along. And all this, how do we know? From the dialogue between the teacher and the student. The student approaches the teacher and wants to be taught. The teacher has no pressure to teach. And if the teacher, has a megaphone and says, please come and study with me, do yourself a favor, don't go to such a teacher. Because this is backwards. The student goes to the teacher. The teacher teaches because the teacher is a compassionate being, and the teacher got freed. How? Because of studying with his teacher, who studied with her teacher, who studied with his teacher, who studied with her teacher, all the way to Lord Shiva in the form of Dakshinamurti, the first teacher, Adi Guru. And so therefore, this is a sound way to study, because even though the injunction is there, go approach a teacher for this knowledge, we are not interested in the personality of the teacher. This is not a cult or based on personality worship. In fact, what we are trying to discover through surrendering to the teacher is surrendering to the knowledge, is to discover the person that is the teacher, the person that is the student, which is the same person, Purusha, who is described in the Purusha Sukta as the thousand-eyed, thousand-handed being, thousand-legged being, meaning all-pervasive everything. So we look upon the teacher with respect because the teacher is a microphone that amplifies the knowledge, makes it relevant for that particular desha and kala, that particular space and time, place and time. And so that is how, here in this Upanishad we have Lord Yama, the teacher, and Nachiketa, the student. Like everybody, Nachiketa's journey to Shreyas also went through the doorway of Preyas. How, you may ask? Nachiketa had a father called Vajashrava who was obsessed with gaining Brahmaloka, which is, as I told you in the first day itself, that is the last frontiers of samsara, a very pleasant place where you don't have any duties and no core issues, and you sit at the feet of Lord Brahmaji. This is the description, the creator of the universe, Bhagavan in the form of the creator of the universe. And Bhagavan Ji tells you here stories from the Upanishad and teaches you the Upanishad. This is what Brahmaloka is described as. No fights, no core issues, no fears, and you are happy. But again, that place is also not a forever place. You go there for a certain period of time, and the currency that takes you there is your good merits and the dharmic life you have led. In other words, your punya. Your punya. Your punya takes you there, and when the currency is exhausted, you come back from there also. And so, therefore, here Vajashrava did not know this. Who is Vajashrava? Nachi's father, Nachiketa's father. Because everybody around him was pursuing Brahmaloka, some kind of a place, pleasant afterlife place, he also thought he will do a very big ritual in order to get this Brahmaloka. And then the ritual entailed giving away everything that you have. So he started to give away all his possessions. And Nachiketa, being small, went to sleep because the ritual has to go on until every single thing except the clothes on your back are given away. So the giveaway was going on. The giveaway ritual was going on. And then what happened is that it went on till late in the night. All the good things were given away first, and then the old things, the tired things, the recycled things began to be given away. When Nachiketa rubbed his eyes, was awakened, and he saw Pitodakaha, Jagdhatrinaha, Dugdhadohaha, Nirindriyaha. These are the description, very interesting description of the cows that were being led away, given to various people who were standing in line. And so the cows, Pitodakaha means the cows who had drunk the last drop of water allotted to them by karma in this life. Pitodakaha. The translation is so long, but in Sanskrit one word, Pitodakaha. And then Jagdhatrinaha, toothless cows, cows who had eaten all the grass allotted to them by the Lord in this life. Nirindriyaha, they could neither see nor smell. They had to be led out carefully. They were just old cows. And then, they were the senseless cows, old cows, tired cows, lame cows, emaciated cows, cows literally on their last legs. These were what were being led away. And then he said, hey, I really want my father to get this Brahmaloka that he is so much after. These cows will not give him Brahmaloka. Why? They can't even make it out the door. One of them is collapsing. And so I should offer myself. Being a little boy, he did not know that people are not property and people are not given away. Children and are not property. Family is not property. And so what did he say? He went to his father and started to worry him. Kasmai mam dasyasi. Hey Tata, Kasmai Mam Dasyasi, who are you going to give me to, oh daddy? Daddy, who are you going to give me to? Who are you going to give me to? The first two times everybody in the assembly laughed. They thought it was cute. The father also cracked a smile. But then when he started to pull his dhoti and then be very persistent, the father got angry because you're not supposed to get distracted from this ritual. And patience was wearing thin. No food, no drink for all day until everything is given away. You should not eat or drink anything. And so he just got very angry at his dear boy. He said, I'm giving you to Lord Death. In other words, that is the ancient way of saying, go to hell. This is what, that's the ancient expression, go to Lord Yama, just now. And in those days, because it was not Kali Yuga, there was a lot of, what is that called? The words had power. And Vajashrava was a very dharmic person. And Nachiketa was a very dharmic person. Nachiketa knew he had to fulfill the words of the father because he didn't want to falsify the father's words. And immediately the father is regretful and he joins his hands in front of him and he says, no, 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 don't go. I didn't mean it. Too late, Dad. Nobody in our family has said we don't mean it. That is not an expression that is used in our family. Look to the people before you, look to all our ancestors. Did anybody say, oh, I didn't mean it? After having promised something? And now Lord Yama will be waiting for me. Maybe he has something to do with me. And you cannot falsify your promise. And you cannot set an example for your children and grandchildren by falsifying your words. Therefore, I am going. So he goes to Lord Yama. Lord Yama is out of town. He is busy harvesting things, jivas that need to go. And then, so he waits there for 3 days and 3 nights. And Mrs. Yama says, come on, come inside, have some food. Why are you waiting outside? No, 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 I can't come in until Lord Yama asks me to come in. And finally, Lord Yama comes. And then Lord Yama says, since you have spent 3 days and 3 nights waiting for me, and that is a no in the Hindu culture. You can't just, a guest is seen as a manifestation of God, and you cannot leave God waiting at the door. And since you have stayed there, since I was not there to greet you, let me atone for my acts of omission by offering you 3 boons. And you see very clearly the first 2 boons chosen by Nachiketa come in the realm of prayers, unequivocally fall under the rubric of what is prayers. How first he says, I left my father very angry. He's a very small boy. Obviously he cares for the daddy's approval. This is something which is very interesting. This also is metaphorically connects to Jiva's approval from the family, from the significant others in one's life, which becomes an addiction. And so then this approval seeking is a very big thing in the mind of everybody, and Nachiketa embodies it by asking for the first boon. Let my father find me back intact, because I have come to your loka from which people don't return, and send me back, let his mind be completely at peace. Tathastu, so be it, says Lord Yama. The second boon also is within the realm of prayers, because he says, my father is working so hard to do this ritual. Isn't there some other ritual that will send him to Brahmaloka? Teach me that ritual. A fire ritual. And Nachiketa is patiently taught by Lord Yama the intricacies of the fire ritual that takes one to various forms of heaven. We have 7 kinds of heaven, okay? So this fire ritual takes one to Brahmaloka and other realms, other places in heaven, etc. And then then the third boon, after having satisfied, after having firmed up some security for himself in this life and the next, his third boon has to do with Shreyas. Already you see, Nachiketa has grown up in asking for the third boon. He says, I want to know what happens to the soul, to the person after they die. Where do they go? How, do they survive death? What is the nature of this I? And Yama dissuades him. He says, this is something even the Devas want to know. Ask for something else. Putra Pautran Vrinishva. Ask for children and grandchildren. Ask for cars and the latest video games, and I'll give you that, and I'll give you this, and I'll give you that. I'll give you your own laptop, even though you're so small, because you're so bright. I'll give you, Lord, I'll give you a whole kingdom that you can rule when you grow up. I'll give you all kinds of things. And Nachiketa is undeterred. He says, what is the use of all your gifts when they are going to self-destruct, and then they are going to destroy me also in the process? I want something that is not destroyed. I want something that is not born. I want something that therefore will not die. I want something away from all the dyads of good and bad. Anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat, anyatra asmat, kritat, akritat. And then I want something that is free of time. Anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha. That which is not the past, not the future, not the present. That which is not in the vice grip of time. That is what I want. Teach me that. And Lord Yama is very, very impressed. And that's when the teaching of Śreyas and Preyas begins. Anyad Śreyah, Lord Yama says, Anyadutaiva Preyah, te ubhe nanarthe पुरुषगं सिनीतः तयोः श्रेयः आददानस्य साधु भवति हीयते अर्थात् य उप्रेयो वृणीते. Lord Yama says that. What does that mean? We'll find out next time. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. There is a question here, and if I can be allowed to briefly answer it. I would say that if there is not much danger, if the situation is not dangerous, if it is just a question of having lost interest, then you can use the opportunity, the person can use the opportunity as a teacher and see where that goes. Yes. Thank you very much.